Hello and welcome back to Loftside Bantr. And this is our first video recording, video podcast, if you will. And if you look behind me, it's the actual loft, complete with cat, condo, nice little couch, my squeaky chair that you heard in probably one of the other podcasts. It's the world famous loft. But enough excitement about the loft. We're going to go over our official picks for our bracket. Now, this year, I used the Ken Palm ratings, which, if you don't know what the Ken Palm ratings are, they are the measurables for each team for your offensive efficiency per 100 possessions, defensive efficiency per 100 possessions. I know that sounds really confusing. It basically rates how efficient you are on offense and how efficient you are on defense, to break it down any simpler than that. So the better teams always seem to be in the upper echelon of those numbers. I have my notes here that I'm going to flip through. Sorry. Since 2002, only teams in the top 40 in offensive efficiency and top 22 in defensive efficiency have won a national championship. Now, there are 7 teams. There are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 teams in the tournament that fit that category. Now, we can get down and be convoluted a little bit more and go, well, teams that haven't done this or haven't done that. We're going to stick with this for now. I use the KenPom to help pick the teams that I think are going to win and move on to the next round. And again, we'll look at some previews. We will try not to get bogged down. We'll try to make this a quick video so that way you can finish up your picks and you can put them up and hopefully win some money. And if you don't win any money, please don't bill me. But first and foremost, we'll start in the South region over here. And with the South region, we're going to go with Auburn. Auburn's a great team. They're 4th overall in the KenPom. So again, very high pick to possibly win it all. Then we have Louisville and Creighton. I felt that Louisville got kind of unjustified. At an 8 seed, I think they should be higher. But it is what it is. They didn't obviously ask me. Michigan and UC San Diego is a popular upset pick. And I went with UC San Diego because Michigan, though playing well right now, turns the ball over a lot. And because they turn the ball over a lot, UC San Diego is the number 1 team when it comes to forcing turnovers in the NCAA. So I think that's just a recipe for disaster for Michigan. UC San Diego can score, and I think they're going to have a lot of opportunities with Michigan turning over the ball. Texas A&M and Yale, I go with Texas A&M. Yale is another popular upset pick. I think Chris Beard and Ole Miss have the opportunity to have a really good run. They could be one of those teams that beat some of these other big teams, but Ole Miss, I think, beats. I'm going to say it's North Carolina in the next round, and there's a podcast that we're going to be filming all about North Carolina getting in and whether they shouldn't. I won't get into it now because I'll spend all day on it. Iowa State, I think, beats Lipscomb. I think New Mexico beats Marquette. As we kind of look here, and again, you can kind of go through all these different things. Marquette has some very good scoring. Donovan Dent's the best point guard, one of the best point guards in the country. I just think New Mexico is going to have a little bit more, whereas some notables from Marquette, again, they lost quite a bit of big games to teams. And again, New Mexico played in a weaker conference, but there's always 7-10s, and I think New Mexico has one of the better ones. Michigan State, I think, is going to beat Bryant pretty handily. Let's go down to Florida is going to beat Norfolk State. UConn, the 2-time defending national champions, I think get through the first round and beat Oklahoma. Colorado State, hot right now. Memphis, I like Memphis. Just, again, these 5-12 matchups are normally pretty difficult to pick. I just think there's a couple of 12s that always make it through. Colorado State, I think, has the better option. Maryland beats Grand Canyon. I think Missouri is going to beat Drake. I think that's what I have. No, I actually have Drake winning. So Missouri, again, can absolutely beat Drake. Drake is the one team in this tournament that is not really great with fast-paced offense. They're going to slow everything down, and they're going to play games on their terms. And I think with that type of team, Missouri, I think, is going to not really know how to handle that. Drake's going to be able to find those holes and get a W here. At Texas Tech over UC and Wilmington. I think Kansas beats Arkansas. John Calipari, Bill Self, big game there. St. John's beats Omaha. We'll go Duke is going to win here. I think Baylor wins here. Again, normally a 8-9 matchup is kind of a toss-up. Oregon, Arizona, Akron, another big upset potential team. Don't be surprised if the Zips of Akron get past Arizona here. BYU's defense is really not the best in the country. You know, we look kind of at the preview a little bit here. They have some good offensive weapons, but I just think VCU has just as good offensive weapons. It's going to come down to BYU's defense. Again, an upset kind of brewing here. I think BYU will pull it out in the end. I think Wisconsin's playing really good basketball right now. They'll get through. I think Vanderbilt, as a 10 seed, is going to get through at St. Mary's. And then Alabama, who is the best offensive. Alabama actually rates, where are they? 6th on the KenPom. They're actually 4th offensively in offensive efficiency, and they run. They're a very quick-paced team. They're going to continue to get as many possessions as possible. I think they're just going to overwhelm Robert Morris easily. Houston, Gonzaga, again, they are a top 10 KenPom team, and they are 8th, an 8 seed. It's really going to be difficult for teams to match up still against Gonzaga. They had a tough year, but, you know, they're 9th offensively, they're 29th defensively, so they don't really fit the top 22 of defensive efficiency, but they're right there. If they can put it together now, and maybe they have towards the end as they won the West Coast Conference championship, maybe they're going to be a tough team. Clemson over McNeese. I think High Point comes off and beats Purdue. It's always one of these 13 seeds or whatever. This one seems like the best matchup for them. I think Illinois is going to win and go to the second round. I think it's going to be Xavier out of the 2 play-in teams. Xavier has a good chance as an 11 seed to beat Illinois, but I think it's still Illinois. Kentucky, I think UCLA beats Utah State, and I think Tennessee. And then we'll go back up to the South region. Auburn, I think, beats Louisville. It's tough for me, but I think UC San Diego, I think they're going to be one of those Cinderella teams that makes it to the Sweet 16. I normally have one team somewhat in there. Texas Tech, I watched them a few times this year, very inconsistent. So I really do think that UC San Diego has a good chance to get to the Sweet 16. Iowa State, Michigan State will be my next 2 right there. Florida over UConn was tough for me to think about. I just think people are going to look at this team. UConn go, they're back-to-back champions. They're going to know how to win. They just don't have the same identity as last year. Florida's playing the best offensive game right now in the country. I think they've gotten hot at the right time. I think the Crab Five of Maryland get through Colorado State. I think Texas Tech and St. John's move on in the West region. Back up to the East, I think Duke beats Baylor. I do think Arizona beats Oregon. Arizona, again, kind of struggled towards the end of the year. I just think they're a little bit better than Oregon. I think Wisconsin showed that they can play a different style of basketball than what people are used to. So then I think they get through BYU with that, again, that shaky defense. Alabama beats Vanderbilt. This is the game that I think is going to turn a lot of people think is going to turn the tournament on its head. I think, personally, that Gonzaga is going to beat Houston. Houston's 3 in the KenPom. They're 10th overall as far as offensive efficiency, 2nd overall as far as defensive. I just think Gonzaga has the players to do this. I think people are going to count them out early. Houston, Calvin Sampson, great coach. I just think Gonzaga has a little bit more. And again, we look kind of at the preview a little bit. Not as great of scoring as Gonzaga does. I mean, they lost Auburn. Houston's lost Auburn. They've lost to Alabama. They beat some other really good teams in the tournament. Gonzaga, again, they struggled against some of the teams that are in here. Again, they may be turning it on a little bit late. They beat St. Mary's to get here to win the WCC tournament. It may be they're on that run right now, and that's where I think they're going to do. That's the upset. I think that's the first number one seed that goes down. I think Clemson beats High Point. I think Kentucky beats Illinois. I think Tennessee beats UCLA. Auburn and San Diego State. Auburn gets a little lucky draw there. Auburn too good for UC San Diego. Auburn gets to the Elite Eight. I think Michigan State beats Iowa State. I think Michigan State's on a great run as well. They did lose in the Big Ten tournament, but they were on a tear just before that. So maybe that loss, gives them a little humility for that. I think Florida beats Maryland. I think St. John's beats Texas Tech. That one's a very close game. I think Rick Pitino has St. John's on a kind of a special run here. I think Gonzaga beats Clemson. Clemson's had a good year. They're just one of those teams that kind of has a really good year, does really well, and then can get so far, and that's about it. Gonzaga, again, just very much up there. Clemson offensive efficiency, they're at 24 and defensive 16, whereas Gonzaga is still the number 9 Ken Palm team there is. Tennessee, I think, beats Kentucky. Oh, I missed Duke and Arizona. I think Duke beats Arizona. I think Alabama gets past Wisconsin. That one I think is going to be a really good game. I think it could go either way, but I think Michigan State's going to beat Auburn. Tom Izzo, I just can't bet against Tom Izzo. Bruce Pearl, BC guy. I would love for him to be the head coach at Boston College, but I just think Michigan State has a little bit more. I think they play better as a team. We'll do this while we're up here. I think Duke beats Alabama. Cooper Flagg back. Again, great team. Has a lot of ability. They could win. They could absolutely win it all. I think Florida beats St. John's, and I think Tennessee beats Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga finally runs out of steam against Tennessee. So my final four is Michigan State, Florida, and Duke and Tennessee. I think Florida takes it against Michigan State. I just feel that they're a better team. They're playing better right now. Like I said, Michigan State lost in the Big Ten tournament. Florida is just an excellent team. They're the second in the KenPom. You have Walter Clayton, 17.5 points a game. Elijah Martin, 14.5. Jason Richardson, again, Jason Richardson's son. That's how old I am. I watched Jason Richardson play for Michigan State. Not as high scoring. And with Florida being number one offensively, I think it's really hard for them to keep up with. Michigan State falls to they're in 8th in the KenPom, 27th offensively, 5th defensively. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Florida. And then I think Duke. I think Duke beats Tennessee. Duke is the number one team overall in the KenPom. Between these two teams, the separation is not a lot. 3rd overall in offensive efficiency, 4th overall in defensive efficiency, whereas Tennessee's 5th overall of the KenPom, 18th in points, 18th in offense, I'm sorry. So with that, again, I think it's just one of those situations Duke's going to get ahead and you're just not going to be able to catch up. And with that said, I'm going to say that Florida is the national champion. I just think they're playing better. This is 1-2 in the KenPom as it is, and I just think Florida is playing so well right now. They're just on that run. They're just able to probably beat it out. I think it's going to be a close game, probably like 85-81, 85-80, somewhere in there. But that is my national champion. Again, if you have any thoughts, Loftside Bantr at gmail.com. Let me know who you picked to win your bracket. And again, I thank you very much, and I'm glad everybody got a view of the humble beginnings of this podcast. So, again, thank you. Florida Gators going to win the national championship.